Welcome in. Are you a serious student of artificial intelligence, or are you a professional seeking to up your game? And are you frustrated as you start reading the more in-depth literature, the material that is fundamental to the AI field? Are you all of a sudden feeling that you're encountering phrases, concepts, terms, things that are significant and you have no idea of what they really mean? If so, you're in very good company. Many people are in the same situation. So in today's AI Salon, sponsored by Themesis Incorporated, we will take a look at a metaphor, not just an analogy, a metaphor of going from Elm Grove, Missouri, through to Fort Laramie, Wyoming, onto the Gold Coast of California, where the AI gold rush is occurring. And we're going to use this as a way to get a little bit of clarity on knowing why it is that all of a sudden everything seems so much more difficult, and what it is that you can do about it. So join me. I'm Dr. Alianna J. Maren. I'm your hostess with Themesis Incorporated. Let's get started. You're going to be one of those intrepid pioneers crossing the prairie. You gather up with your friends, your comrades, your trail companions to be in Elm Grove, Missouri, and that's where you get your wagon train, your oxen, your supplies, and most importantly, your trail guide. And you set out. Long grass country, short grass country, adventures, some real challenges and hardships. But here's the important thing. It's more or less straight. It is more or less level country. And you finally arrive at Fort Laramie. This is a journey of at least a couple of months. And that's where you settle down for a moment. You do a replenishment, a repair, regroup, and possibly you have to get some new people because not everybody might have made it. But there you are, getting ready for the next big stage. The next big stage in the Oregon Trail journey of artificial intelligence involves going over the Sierra Nevada mountains. Now here's the thing. You don't want to get caught and trapped for the winter in Donner Pass. Okay? That's the big point of this whole metaphor. Donner Pass is where you succumb to the blizzard whiteout. And the blizzard whiteout in AI terms is you hit these notational phrases, free energy, statistical mechanics, energy function, energy minimization, entropy, all these things. And if you've been with me even just in a couple of vids, you've been hearing me use those terms already. And we haven't yet worked through their definitions. So you're already starting to get a whiteout phenomenon. I had that with at least one of my viewers who reported back. He listened to a previous vid several times and it was still not clear. Right, I understand. Because we haven't had a chance to go back and do the fundamentals. So there, if you're trying to self-educate off the materials available, my vids, but also all the things on the web, there's all sorts of little pieces coming at you from all sorts of directions. This is the whiteout phenomena, and they are all just barely different enough so that the confusion, the mental whiteout starts to happen because you're trying to compare notations in two different papers, and are they talking about exactly the same thing, or is it really something different? And sometimes things that look very different notation-wise really are the same thing. So you're challenging yourself to work through layers and layers of detail, often involving delicacies and nuances of notation, and our brains, frankly, we just sort of stutter and freeze out. And there we are, we trapped. And sometimes you can sort of like transport ourselves magically back to, not Elm Grove, but to at least Fort Laramie, which is a success point in itself, okay? Fort Laramie is where most people in AI are right now. That's if you've been doing religiously your hard work on building your neural networks involving multiple layers, TensorFlow 2, Keras, using CNNs, convolutional neural networks, using LSTMs, long short-term memory neural networks, doing all the things, all the tricks of the trade. You're still, though, in Fort Laramie, because the real meat of artificial intelligence involves getting through the mountains of the energy-based methods, that's the statistical mechanics of artificial intelligence, and frankly, not many people get there. Many that try succumb to whiteout in Donner Pass. So that's what we're trying to understand so that we can have a strategy, a plan, a path forward that gets us successfully through Donner Pass and to the other side where the glories of the great AI world await us. So let's talk about how we're going to get through Donner Pass. There's really actually three, but two important components to this. Part one is we need to back up and do some statistical mechanics. Obviously, that is in fact the entire trek through the mountains. So that one's a given. Now what we're going to do is isolate those very few concepts that you must get out of the full range of stat mech into the few that you really, really need. That's essentially finding the path through the mountains. You don't have to climb every mountain to the top. You're finding the most expeditious path. From the realm of statistical mechanics, we only need three key concepts to get started, to get enough familiarity to be able to grasp the essence of the most important papers in our field. These concepts are, in quick order, microstates, the partition function, and free energy. Secondly, we need consistent notation. That's absolutely one of the whiteout elements of Donner Pass. Now third, here's an aspect that I haven't really seen explained or addressed sufficiently for those who are educating themselves in AI, and it's this. It's not just statistical mechanics. Imagine that you are having to make your journey through two different realms at the same time. So it might be like a physical journey and an altered reality journey, a sort of dreamscape. And here's the thing, at a certain critical point, you have to blend the two. And you have to be able to move smoothly between the two realities and know which reality you're in at any given moment. And know when you've got a blended reality. Now this is super difficult because most people aren't bringing it up as something that you need to cognitively address. And when you don't address it and you're not aware of the presence of this as something that is something you need to bring into your worldview, then that whiteout occurs. And this is specifically that you've got statistical mechanics, which is one kind of physics, and you've got Bayesian probability work that is another kind of mathematical expression, but not physics, and you're blending the two. Now we'll talk about this a lot. The stat mech is going to take you longer to internalize and absorb and become fluent with the few concepts that you need. And it'll take a little while to get those, but it's not impossible. It's just three concepts and three basic equations, and this is doable. Once you get free energy and you understand how it can be expressed, there's two major ways to write it. Then you can transition from free energy as a general principle to the Ising equation, which I've referenced in several of the previous vids, and then you can start looking at the literature, and then it all begins to make sense. So it's a very well defined, this is your trail through the Sierra Nevada mountains. You know exactly what landmarks you've got to hit. The Bayesian probability comes in many, many different ways and in several areas of AI, so we're going to address that later. Today, let's just sum up by saying our goal is to get through the full Oregon Trail, to move on from Fort Laramie, to find a method to get through the Sierra Nevada mountains of artificial intelligence, and to safeguard ourselves when we hit that Donner Pass moment. If you found this vid useful, please hit that like, subscribe, notify sequence, and in particular, look for the next vid in the series. I'm going to take you through three papers, the key energy equations in three papers, the original Hopfield paper, and then two by Salakutinoff and Hinton, then Hinton and Salakutinoff, and we're going to identify the key energy equation as being the same one throughout. We're going to work our way through the notation and slight differences in things that they're referencing and compare it to the fundamental statistical mechanics equation, the Ising equation, and we'll say, wow, these really are the same thing. The energy construct is the same, and we'll be able to correlate the more advanced versions of energy-based neural networks with the originating versions. Even without knowing the full stat mech yet, we'll realize that we're getting some deep insights. So please do look for the next vid, Join me. I'll see you soon. Thank you for joining me. You've been in one of the Artificial Intelligence Salon series offered by Themesis Incorporated. I've been your hostess, Dr. Alianna J. Maren. Please check out our further playlists, both for the Salon and then also for the Statistical Mechanics series, which will be expanding over time. If you want to be informed of further videos, please do the like, subscribe, and hit the notify bell. Thanks. We'll look forward to seeing you soon.